Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for Game 5 of the NLDS between the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers, played October 15, 2015. We're going to go over every at-bat and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis between these two teams in this game. And in this series, these two teams were tied up 2 apiece, having split the first 2 games in Los Angeles and the next 2 in New York. And now they were back in Cali for the series deciding game, the series clinching game. And on the mound for Los Angeles, Zack Greinke. On the mound for New York, Jacob deGrom. So at the top of the first, Granderson would reach on an infield single. David Wright would then strike out. And now Daniel Murphy at the plate. Granderson would be brought in with a double. So Murphy with the double, he ended up reaching third on an error by Hernandez. And it was 1-0 Mets over the Dodgers. So Murphy on third now. Cespedes at the plate, and he would strike out. Duda struck out as well, so Murphy stranded at third. But the Mets put 1 run on the scoreboard, so it was 1-0. Greinke, though, although he did let up the run, got 3 strikeouts in that top of the first. So now on the bottom of the first, deGrom would get Kendrick to line out. Seager then hit a single. Adrian Gonzalez then singled, and that moved Seager to third. So runners on the corners, 1 out for Justin Turner. Justin Turner's been having a big series, and he came up clutch here with a single that drove in Seager. Gonzalez over to third now, so runners on the corners, and this game was tied up at 1 run apiece. So now Ethier at the plate. He hit a single to drive in Gonzalez, and it was now 2-1, and Turner on second, Ethier on first. So now Grandal would come to the plate. He struck out, and so did Hernandez, as deGrom got out the inning with 2 strikeouts after letting up the 2 runs, and after 1, it was 2-1 Dodgers over the Mets. So now in the top of the second, Greinke would set down the side in order as he struck out Denaud. Conforto flew out, and Flores struck out. So now in the bottom of the second, Peterson would draw a walk. Greinke then sacked Peterson over to second, and so now it was 1 out, 1 on in scoring position for Kendrick. And Kendrick ended up reaching first on a throwing error. And so now Seager came to the plate. He would strike out, and so would Gonzalez. And so that would do it for the bottom of the second. So now the top of the third, Greinke would set down the side in order for the second straight inning as he got deGrom to ground out, and so did Granderson. And then Wright struck out. So now the bottom of the third, Justin Turner led off with a leadoff double. Then Ethier came to the plate. No out, runner in scoring position on second. He would line out. Turner ended up stealing third as he made a heads-up play on the base paths to take third base. And so now Grandal would end up trying a walk, and Hernandez grounded into a double play. So they left Turner stranded on third, and that would do it for the third inning. So down the top of the fourth, Greinke would let up a leadoff single to Murphy. Cespedes then flew out. Duda would walk, so now he had 2 runners on, 1 out. Murphy ended up stealing third as Seager didn't cover, and Murphy made a heads-up run and play to get over there and take third, so now he's 90 feet away. And Denaud hit a sac fly. Murphy tagged up, and he scored the game's tying run at 2 apiece now. Conforto would then ground out, and that would do it for the top of the fourth, but not after the Mets had tied this game up at 2 runs apiece. So now the bottom of the fourth, Peterson would draw a walk. Greinke then sacked him over to second, and now Kendrick would fly out, and Seager would strike out. And Peterson stranded at third as he had tagged up and moved over on that fly out by Kendrick. So Seager strikes out with Peterson on third, and we were headed to the 5th inning. Greinke would set down the side in order in the top of the 5th, striking out Flores, getting deGrom to pop out, and Granderson flew out. So now the bottom of the 5th, deGrom would strike out Adrian Gonzalez. Justin Turner then came up with a double as he had now had 3 hits in the game, 2 extra base hits. And so then Ethier came up and he popped out. So now 2 outs for Grandal with Turner on second, runner in scoring position, and he strikes out. So that would do it for the 5th inning. So now on the top of the 6th, Greinke's still on the mound for the Dodgers. Wright would foul out, and then Daniel Murphy came to the plate, and Daniel Murphy goes deep for the 3rd time in this series as he hits a home run to right field, 394 feet. And that was the go-ahead run for the Mets, as it was now 3-2 New York over Los Angeles. So Daniel Murphy coming up clutch in this game as he has all series. Yoenis Cespedes then struck out, and Duda would strike out, and that would do it for the top of the sixth. But after the Mets had taken the lead with the solo shot by Daniel Murphy. It's now in the bottom of the sixth. Jacob deGrom would set down the side in order. You got Hernandez to ground out. Peterson popped out. Greinke lined out, and that would do it for the sixth. So now at the top of the seventh, Zach Greinke still on the mound for Los Angeles. He would get Denard to ground out. Conforto ground out as well. Now Flores would get a single. Johnson would come in to pinch hit for deGrom as he would be done for the night. Johnson reached on an infield. The audio cut out right there. I apologize. Been having some audio difficulties. But it was an infield single for Johnson. And so now Greinke would be done for the night. Avian would come in to relieve him, and Granderson would fly out, and that would do it for the top of the seventh. So now on to the bottom of the seventh. Noah Syndergaard would come in to relieve deGrom, as deGrom had been pinch hit for in the top half of the inning. And so now Syndergaard would get Kendrick to ground out. He struck out Seager. He walked Adrian Gonzalez, but then struck out Justin Turner, as he retired Turner for the first time in this game, as Turner had been on fire thus far with 3 hits, 2 doubles. But now to the top of the eighth, Chris Hatcher in relief of Avian for the Dodgers, and he would set down the side in order as he got right to line out. Murphy grounded out, and Cespedes struck out. So now on to the bottom of the eighth, Jeurys Familia would come in to finish out this game and pitch the final 2 innings. So Familia comes in the bottom of the eighth, and he would get Ethier to ground out. Carl Crawford then pinch hit for Grandal, and Familia got him to line out. Rollins then pinch hit for Hernandez, and he would ground out, as Familia set down the side in order in the bottom of the eighth. So now to the top of the ninth, Kenley Jansen on the mound for the Dodgers in relief of Hatcher, and Duda would pop out. Denard would foul out, and the Lagares hit a double. Flores was intentionally walked to get the force out at all 3 bases, excluding home. And Familia came up to the plate and struck out. So now to the bottom of the ninth, Familia would face Chase Utley, who came in to pinch hit for Peterson. He would get Utley to line out. Then A.J. Ellis, he'd get him to strike out. And then Howie Kendrick, and he struck him out as well, as Jeurys Familia retires the final 6 batters of this game in a row, setting down the side in order in the 2 final innings, retiring the final 6 outs of the game, as the Mets hold on to win this one 3-2. Familia with the save, deGrom with the win. The Mets win this series, the NLDS 3-2 in Game 5. What a performance on the mound by deGrom, Syndergaard, and Familia. And what a performance by Daniel Murphy in this game and in this series. As Murphy, in this series, Murphy reached base in every single game of this series. He had an RBI in 4 out of the 5 games, as he had 1 RBI in games 1, 3, and 4, and then 2 RBIs tonight, as he got the first RBI of the game for the Mets and the last RBI of the game for the Mets, and he also came across home for that second run for New York, as he was involved in every scoring play of this game. So he gets the RBI for the first run, he comes across home for the second run, and he hits that solo shot for the third run in this game. As Murphy was huge on the offensive end for the Mets in this pitching duel. So you had a couple of great performances on the mound by the starters, and then of course Familia coming up huge once again in the series. He gets his second save of the series. In this series, he allowed 0 hits, no earned runs. He pitched the final out of every win for New York in this series. In when the second one there in Game 3, they actually won 13-7, so it wasn't a save situation. But in Games 1, 3-1, he came in and pitched the final 4 outs. And then here in the series clinching Game 5, he pitched 2 innings, the final 6 outs, and comes up huge as they hold on to win this one 3-2. What an amazing performance by Familia, as he's a new dominant closer in New York. The Mariano Rivera comparisons will be coming, He was just unbelievable, unhittable in this series and in this game. Of course, deGrom coming up big in the series as well, as he gets his second win of the series, winning in Game 1 and then winning here in Game 5. And in Game 1, he allowed no earned runs, 2 earned runs in this game off of 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. So he had an ERA of 1.38 in the series. He struck out 20 in this series in the 2 games he pitched. But a huge series for deGrom, for Familia, Murphy. Also, Syndergaard, what a performance, too. Usually, he does not come out of the bullpen. He's a starter. It's not so easy for a starter to come out of the bullpen, as we saw in the playoffs so far. I mean, Price let up 3 in the 3 innings he pitched over there. And then even yesterday, Keuchel got lit up with that home run in that Game 5. It's not easy for a starter to come out the bullpen the way Syndergaard did, and he was excellent in relief. He did allow the 1 base runner, but he struck out 2 in that scoreless inning where he did not allow any hits there in the 7th. Like I said, Familia coming up huge in the 8th and the 9th, super clutch. And deGrom, after the Dodgers got on him early in that first inning and he allowed 2, he then pitched 5 shutout innings in the 2nd through the 6th, as the Dodgers were shut out in the final 8 innings of this game by the Mets. It's an excellent pitching performance. And you saw early on in the first inning, it was like all that adrenaline and all the pressure and excitement and everything. We saw both teams score in the first inning, but once these 2 starters settled down, then we really saw what we had seen all year from Greinke and deGrom. We saw quite the pitching duel in this game. And in this one, as I said, deGrom gets the win, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs off of 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. Syndergaard 1 inning, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs, no hits allowed. And Familia, he did not allow any hits, no walks, as he retired 6 in a row, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs in those 2 innings. He got the save, obviously, his 2nd save of the series. And Greinke lost. He was 1 for 1 in this series, 6 2/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs off of 6 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts for Greinke. Of course, he did allow that solo shot to Murphy in the 6th. And then Avillion, 1/3 of an inning pitched, no earned, no hits. Hatcher, 1 inning pitched, no earned, no hits, 1 strikeout. Jansen, 1 inning pitched, 1 hit allowed, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, no earned runs. And for the Mets, Murphy coming up huge, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. As I said, he was involved in every single scoring play for the Mets. He had that RBI double in the 1st, and then Donat's sac flied him in the 4th, and then he had that solo shot in the 6th. And Granderson 1 for 4 as he came across the plate when Murphy drove him in there in the 1st. And then Lagares 1 for 1, Flores 1 for 3, Johnson 1 for 1. Only 7 hits for the Mets, only 6 hits for the Dodgers. As Seager was 1 for 4, 1 run scored. Gonzalez 1 for 3, 1 run scored. Turner, huge again. He was huge in the series. 3 for 4 in this game with 2 doubles, 1 RBI. And then Ethier 1 for 4 with an RBI. And that was it for the Dodgers. This is just 6 hits. Both teams struck out 11 times, 22 total strikeouts in this game between these pitchers. I said 7 for deGrom, 9 for Greinke. Of course, Syndergaard and Familia each had 2 strikeouts. But it was an incredible game. You had your seat, pitching duel. Like I said, it looked early on like we might see a lot of runs, as we had seen in some of these games. It was an interesting series the way it all went down. As it was 3-1 in Game 1, 5-2 Game 2, 13-7, 3-1, and then 3-2. So we had a little bit of everything in this series. And now the Mets are moving on. They're going to be facing the Cubs in the NLCS. The Dodgers are done, and their tempers were flaring there in their dugout. Saw Ethier and Magley having some words, so you wonder what's going to happen there. But anyway, with the Mets, they're moving on. Huge performance, especially after losing Game 4 at home in New York and coming back to Cali to take Game 5 on the road is huge. That does a lot for your momentum moving on. It's going to be quite the NLCS between 2 teams that got a lot of momentum on both ends in Chicago and in New York. But a big performance by deGrom, as he's had an amazing season, an amazing postseason, and of course Familia, the shutdown closer, just unhittable in this series. Amazing performance by him in every game he pitched. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a good weekend and enjoy all the sports.